every single one of us has the capacity and the potential to have a really wonderful, deeply meaningful life. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easy achieving it.
We might tell ourselves a story that we're not creative, we're not that type of person, that joy finds me, that we just always happen to be on the duller side of luck, and good things don't happen to people like me. And if that's the narrative that has been maybe chasing you your whole life, I'm here to tell you, you are far more creative, and you're far more creative than you could ever realize. And why that's important is because you, no matter where you've been, no matter where you come from, you can create a joy-filled life.
Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
Welcome back, Evolvers. It's Emilia. Today we're going to be talking about some joy. Filling up your life with some joy. And yes, I'm not talking about me. But
I'm laughing really quick before you get into your story. I'm laughing because to your intro, I'm going to be wicked vulnerable for a second just so we can all kind of get into it together.
Let's get into it together.
You and I were on a call earlier in the week. And it's funny you said what you said because I literally uttered something very similar to you, saying one of my parts is like love just isn't meant for me, and I'm gonna be alone forever, and nobody's gonna want me, and all blah 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 blah. So that's why I was laughing. It came out as you were like telling me you're doing your cold open. Just real vulnerable, you guys. I still go through it too. Like, there's still those parts of me that come up that are like, joy isn't possible for me, or this isn't possible, or that isn't possible, blah, 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 blah. I'm constrained by my past. Who's going to want to be with someone who used to date women, whatever, right? Like, we all have our narratives and we all have our stories and we all have the narrative that is holding us back from the kind of life that we want. And I wanted to call myself out and call myself forward so that you guys know I am not talking on this episode from some freaking high horse, and I know Emilia isn't either. We go through it too. So I just wanted to make sure that I grounded us in that, because I was going to keep laughing if I did.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because when we talk about joy and specifically creating a life that is joy filled and by design, not by default, a lot of us have these thoughts. And I say what I said because of the fact that I hear those thoughts from clients, from people that are like, no fucking chance. Not a fucking chance. Like, there's not a chance, Emilia. Like, go get bent. Like, you don't know my life, my story. F off. And it's like, I trust you, my guy. I got you. Like, I trust in Emilia. I will help you realize what you've been stuffing down and suppressing your entire life. Like, just trust me. Just give me a couple months and you'll be frolicking through fields of lavender. No, I'm just kidding. But in a real vein, more of a professional vein, it is this topic that is really uncomfortable for people to talk about based on my clinical experience, because and also, you know, again, while I can authentically sit here and say that I really have designed a life that is filled with joyful moments, I've also designed a life that is really freaking tough, and that there's like a lot of pain and suffering moments that are chosen, that are by design. And so I want to share what I've learned in the specific areas of creating and cultivating and helping others create and cultivate and design a life that does and has those glimmers of joys pop up, because of the fact that joy is that one emotion that, when I just think about like fulfillment, right? A lot of people say the purpose of life is happiness. I think about fulfillment, and I think about how when we really look at the soft underbelly of all of our behaviors, it's usually to avoid pain, and it's usually to seek some type of pleasure. But then we get caught up in this loop of like, that's not enough, right? And we're always searching for more. So whether it's the vacation or the shoes or the this or the that, like all these external things that we try to accumulate or chase after, it doesn't actually bring joy. And joy is more of that long-term sustaining emotion that isn't just there and it's never going away. It's more so a friend that kind of like, it's like a kite. You like cast it away, it catches the wind, and then you have to reel it back in. Joy is that thing, that emotion that comes to you and is cultivated out of you, and the experiences that are designed through bringing your inner creative out. And when I do a lot of this inner work with individuals, I recognize that so many of our creatives in our life have been stuffed down and not asked to quote unquote come out to play. And when we're all these like big mature adults, we think that that stuff is a no-fly zone. And so if I were to ask Bianca, or if I were to ask anyone else, you know, like, what is your favorite type of play? We would all have this weird pinch of uncomfortable, like, why the hell is she asking that? Why does that matter to this conversation? And I think that that's a really good moment to reflect upon how we struggle in general as a society to encourage that joy-filled life. Because if you have it, then that means that I can't. And then it starts to become this whole tick for tack. So B, I was on relationship talks coaching with a client. We've had this client, Alan and I have had this client for probably 2.5 years now, and they're absolutely crushing in their life. And they are in the pressure zone. Thank you. It is. And it is. And I'm so humbled to be able to help them in the ways that we do. And it's one of the most favorite work that I get to do in the world outside of Evolve is with my partner, my mans. And we sat down, B, and they showed up. And this is a younger couple, and they were you could tell they were just exhausted. Like, I can see their mitochondrial health and be like, okay, y'all need a little bit of a vacation or just a mental respite, because they're looking. Nap. Yeah, y'all need a nap. Y'all need to, like, it's not like do less, but I can tell both of you, and Alan could tell too, both of you guys are struggling, and you guys are on the struggle bus. And they just so happen to be a month or so out from their wedding date, which is like, show me anyone. Yeah, show me anyone that's a month out from their wedding and they're looking like sprightly, like they have a joy-filled life, right? No, that's usually not the case. So now you understand, okay, they're in the pressure cooker. Yes, but I don't mention this conversation that we had because of that. I mention it because of where we ended up. After going through this relationship talks coaching call and, you know, kind of getting in those little tiny nuances that we can, because they're that quote unquote Olympian client of ours, that we can get into the little nuances about what specific mattress pad they have so that they can get the most optimal sleep, so that they can, right, they're achieving more than they've ever achieved, and they've come further than they've ever come in their entire life. And they have the most level of fulfillment and the most level of challenge. And those two seem to go hand in hand. And we start to ask about something that Alan and I are referring to, a love mood. And this comes from me sharing with Alan that there's pretty much two zones that I find myself in, either in builder zone, which is my building switch. I'm building the future, building people's future. I'm helping them co-design a life of joy and fulfillment and challenge. Or there's love mood. There's love switch. So as soon as I'm done with work, I go down. I'm in love switch. I want to just be snuggins and in love with my partner. And I share that because we shared that with this client, and we started asking, like, so do you guys, like, are you guys having this love mood, this love switch on, and are you consciously doing it? And they're like, not really. Like, I'm like, so there's no low stim, no setting the mood. There's no like environmental design to set up your life for a moment of just safety and joy and relaxation. They're like, not really. And so Alan and I were like, oh, okay, we need to go in on environmental design, because we've helped them design a life full of joy. And right now, because of the long-term joy that they seek, right? Marriage, eventually kids, their house, all that happy jazz, there's this challenge stretch that they're in. What we realized in that that I want to bring to this call is that every single household that people share, or they're in on their own, there is a quote unquote nest that we are able to design, bring in our creatives, and help cultivate an environment that we can be in, that we can move or quote unquote flock the nest from, go to work, come back, return towards, or if you work from home, be in, that leverages and is specifically designed to have pockets of joy within it, to have a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly design of joy. And so we were talking about this from the standpoint of once they get home from their day, they're not experiencing joy because they're just pretty much shutting off. So I was okay, we got to get into this whole environmental design thing because you guys are just defaulting to this type of decompression. It's not working with your nervous systems. Y'all are exhausted and literally fatigued and burnout. And it just had me thinking about this episode when it's not just them that this is the problem. It's not just them that they're struggling with this. They didn't even know how much they could leverage their environment to design a morning and an evening routine specifically for cultivating joy. And so I want to have a sentiment around how much there is possibilities for everyone in this conversation about how to actually create a joy-filled life. Number one, by design, so that you can, number two, facilitate that creative spirit that is within you. So, B, you have been someone that has been in my corner, who I've been in your corner for 5 going on 6 years, almost 6 years now.
It's almost 7 years.
Is it? 2019, yeah. Whoa. So what have you learned from these skill sets that I have? No, what have you learned about this? And what have you learned and specifically you cultivated by design your life? And you can even just start in the environment area, because I know that this is one of many conversations that we'll have.
Hey everybody, I just want to take a minute to talk about my experience with the Evolve Venture Society. They're a wonderful group of people who allow you to communicate in an open and honest way, and they're very supportive and full of positive energy. You can ask anyone for help. You can talk to anyone and ask for questions, and they're very supportive, and all they do is just help you to become the best version of yourself. And if anything, all I want to do is just learn more from this amazing group of people, and I think that they will help anybody who needs it, and that's the best thing that anybody can ask for.
I am the queen of excuses. And I preface that, okay? Again, giving everybody permission, okay? I have made so many excuses about my life and about why I can't be happy, it's not even funny. I was diagnosed with a mental illness. I had a very disruptive childhood. Every one of my relationships have been toxic. I was abused in my first relationship. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have any friends. Blah, 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 blah. For the last 30 years, it's been one excuse after another. And they all felt really valid. They did. They felt really valid, and they felt really, really true at the time. And the biggest thing that I've learned over the years of us, on this mission together, and through your leadership and through my own education and personal development and working as a practitioner, is our life is the direct outcome of the effort that we put into it. Not everything, right? Shit happens. There's a reason that's a phrase. It's real. But we have so much more control than we believe that we do. And we have so much more capacity and responsibility and potential and so many more outlets than we believe that we do. And that's why I was laughing about what I said in that call between you and I, is because my parts sometimes, so I'm using IFS language for anyone who doesn't know what parts are. IFS is one branch of psychology that is really, really wonderful in tandem with CBT and some of the other methodologies that we practice here at Evolve. So one of my parts and some of my parts really struggle to believe that certain things are possible for me and that certain things are going to change. And we all have that. We all have these parts of us that are so hooked on their own belief structures and the beliefs that are safe for them. Because if I were to actually admit love is possible for me, and I just have to be patient, and I'm going to have to be a leader, and I'm going to have to be really vulnerable, that scares the ever-loving shit out of me and my parts. And for them to actually admit that is really scary because, well, then what do I do with that? It's easier to say it's not possible than it is to actually have faith. And not in a religious sense, but like have faith, have belief, have hope in an adaptive way. And honestly, I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned over this journey and throughout this time together is the things that we do have control of, it's way more than we believe. And the outcomes of our life are in direct proportion to how much control we take of the controllables. And joy is no different. If you want a happy life, if you want an abundant life, you have to make it. If you want love, if you want friendship, if you want meaning, if you want purpose, if you want excitement, if you want thrill, if you want all of these really amazing things, you have to make it and you have to take it with consent.
Yeah.
With consent.
With consent.
We're gonna
So
slide that in there.
yeah, got to. Okay, so one of the things that I want to do that I want to leave our listeners with is what is design thinking in a nutshell, and I want to take us through the definition and then the quick process, and I want to use an example that helps to get anyone that's listening to this episode in a different modality of thinking than maybe they might have started in when they came into here. Because I think that those limiting beliefs, whatever it is, right, a life of joy, like a joy-filled life, that is stacking so many different elements of design. So for example, it could be your home environment that you set up. It could be your office. It could be the process by which you do things. So how you brush your teeth, and whether that's looking in the mirror or whether that's dancing in front of your mirror, like that's a processed type of design. And you can have outcomes, right? So you could have a specific, I'm just saying, when you get into your car and go to work or whatever, you have a specific dangly thing on your mirror that literally helps you like just get so excited every single time you look at it. For me, it would be like a beautiful like crystal, right? So the design type thinking is what we want you thinking about when it comes to this episode. And design-based thinking is essentially what Bianca just mentioned, which is what you've cultivated as a result of me getting your consent to influence you in this manner to help you design a life of joy and life filled with joyful moments. Now, again, that's not absent of the challenge, right?
AKA calling me out on my bullshit all the time. Well,
yeah,
in
and
a
that's the
loving
thing.
way.
But here's the thing, that's a part of the design process, which I think is so exciting, because when you think about designing a life or a joy-filled life, it's about having empathy with what ultimately you don't love about your life right now. And that's totally okay. If you don't activate that element of empathy in your design-based thinking, you cannot come up with creative solutions, which is where your creative part comes in, and ideate about like, okay, what solutions can we do in our home environment? It might even be your home desk. Like it might be in your office space or wherever you go. And then you go and you start to kind of prototype things. And when you go into this prototyping of like, let me try this on, let me try to redesign my home environment so that every time I don't have to walk around this stupid freaking couch because I bang my knee on it. Let me actually try to rearrange things. Okay. I get super frustrated and agitated with this lighting that I have while in my car. This thing always, okay, let's ideate and prototype. What if we actually had a USB plug-in, right? Those little tiny things. All of a sudden there's a disco ball like happening in your back seat, and that makes you more joy-filled. Like you have to go out and prototype whatever it is that you want to bring into your life. You have to test it to see, does it bring you the ultimate effect that you want, which is more of that joy. And if you're not taking that approach by focusing in on what it is that you need as a result of whatever it is type of life that you want, right? That joy, you're not going to be able to figure out, okay, this implementation of whatever it is that I'm changing, it's actually meeting or exceeding or underperforming the need that's here. So if you want a joy-filled life, just like this couple, we're encouraging them to do, their homework was literally, I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're going to empathize with that need that you have. Like, you guys need to connect a little bit more. You guys are a little burnt out. You need a place for your central nervous system to rest. And that brings joy to you guys to actually be able to connect. Like, that brings joy to your life. And y'all aren't doing it right now. So let's empathize with that need, and let's define what really is it that you guys need to welcome in more joy into your life, more rest into your life, more relaxation and rejuvenation into your life, right? We defined what those needs are. One of them was we need to actually be able to share space without needing to perform or problem solve or whatever. Okay, cool. How can you do that? Well, we currently sit on 2 separate couches and he watches this while I listen to this or whatever. It's like, okay, well, what other solutions could we do? And that's where, okay, well, what we've shared is Alan and I love to have no stim light nights, which is no TV on, no nothing, just the red light, just, this playlist spa lounge. So what if we prototyped a solution where you guys, if you'd be open to it, we can send you the playlist and kind of have you guys prototype in your own environment what that mood could look like. You guys set up, a fireplace on your computers or on your TV to simulate a fireplace. You're testing it out. Okay, cool. You guys are going to do it in a couple nights. Awesome. And then when that night comes, implement what we've talked about, the music, the ambiance, the shared space, the being each other's primary focus, and then check in. How did we do? Did that bring more joy? Did that bring the outcome that we wanted to bring into our life? Yes, no, maybe a little bit. Okay, then readjust. Empathize with the fact that we want actually more joy than that. Okay, cool. Let's define and go back in that design-based thinking. And the key here is there's so much more in our control. If we shift out of the queen or king of excuses and into the what if, the unknown of, well, maybe I might be a little bit more creative, or maybe there might be some creative juices if I were to just give myself that opportunity to try. What then could happen? What joy could I invite into my life? And how can I step into a more joy-filled life that I design, not just by default? So in closing, my episode suggestion is, how are you investing your spare time, which is episode 338? We have a ton of spare time, and so little of that are we going into our design-based thinking to create a joy-filled life. So I encourage and invite you in that episode. Bianca?
417, healing from the loneliness epidemic. If you want help creating a life by design, send us a DM, reach out. We do free 30-minute calls every single week. We have people book on our calendars all the time. We're not going to sell you anything. We're not going to try to force anything. If you just want 30 minutes to throw some ideas out and to get some guidance, the links are down below, or you can send us a DM and we will get that set up for you. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.